In the vibrant heart of New York City, as the sun set behind the towering skyscrapers, a high-end restaurant called Opulence buzzed with laughter and the clinking of elegant glassware. Among the well-dressed patrons was Alexander King, a billionaire known for his influential business empire. However, tonight, he wore a waiter's uniform, and his intentions were anything but ordinary. Alexander's daughter, Sophie, had recently begun dating a young man named Liam, who came from a humble background. While Sophie insisted that Liam loved her for who she was, Alexander couldn't shake his apprehensions. What if Liam was only interested in their family's wealth? Determined to uncover the truth, Alexander decided to go undercover. As he navigated through the restaurant, he spotted Sophie, radiant in a beautiful dress, seated across from Liam, who was dressed sharply in a blazer. Their laughter filled the air, and Alexander felt a pang of both pride and worry. Approaching their table, he offered them wine, maintaining a casual demeanor. "Good evening. Can I interest you in some wine?" Liam politely declined, and as Alexander stepped away, he kept a watchful eye on the couple. For most of the evening, everything appeared perfectly normal. Sophie laughed at Liam's jokes, and he seemed genuinely engaged in her stories. But then, a shift occurred. A tall man in a leather jacket approached Liam, leaning in to whisper something. Alexander's heart raced as he saw the change in Liam's demeanor. His smile vanished, replaced by a serious expression. "You need to leave," Liam said quietly, his voice tense. The stranger smirked, warning, "You can't run from your debts forever." The weight of concern settled heavily on Alexander's chest. Who was this man? What did he want from Liam? When Liam stood up to follow him outside, Alexander quickly abandoned his tray and slipped through the kitchen, compelled to find out what was happening. Outside in the dimly lit alley, the distant sounds of the city hummed softly in the background. Alexander hid behind a stack of boxes, straining to hear their conversation. "I told you, I'm done with this," Liam said, his voice steady but filled with determination. The man laughed coldly. "You still owe us. Pay up, or your girlfriend will find out who you really are." A surge of anger and concern coursed through Alexander. What was Liam hiding? Who was he indebted to? When Liam returned to the restaurant, he wore a mask of calm, seamlessly rejoining Sophie, who remained blissfully unaware of the gravity of the situation. Alexander was now more convinced than ever that he had to protect his daughter. The next morning, Alexander returned to Opulence, slipping into the same waiter's outfit. The atmosphere was quieter, with just a few early risers enjoying coffee and pastries. It didn't take long for him to spot Liam, who was seated in a corner, staring blankly into his coffee. Approaching him, Alexander poured a fresh cup. "You look like you have a lot on your mind," he said lightly. Liam glanced up, startled but recognizing Alexander from the night before. "Yeah, you could say that," he replied, his voice low. Sensing the weight on Liam's shoulders, Alexander took a seat across from him. "Sometimes talking helps," he suggested gently. Liam hesitated, but then, almost reluctantly, he began to open up. "I have some people after me, loan sharks. I owe them more than I can pay, and they're not forgiving." Alexander listened intently as Liam explained how he had fallen into debt after his parents passed away. "I had to care for my younger siblings, and I borrowed from the wrong people. It was supposed to be temporary, but now it's a mess." The weight of his words hung between them, and Alexander felt a mix of sympathy and concern. A wave of empathy washed over Alexander. He had expected deceit, but instead, he found a young man who was desperately trying to protect Sophie. "Why haven't you told her?" Alexander asked softly. Liam's jaw tightened. "Because she deserves better than this. I didn't want to drag her into my problems." Alexander took a moment to process everything he had heard. He saw a young man willing to fight for the woman he loved, no matter the cost. With a steady voice, Alexander leaned forward. "You're a good man, Liam. But there's something you need to know about me." Liam looked confused. I'm not just a waiter, Alexander continued. I'm Alexander King, Sophie's father. Liam's face drained of color. You're her dad? Alexander nodded. I went undercover to see what kind of man my daughter was dating. Now I understand what you're dealing with, and I want to help. The weight of Alexander's revelation hung in the air as Liam absorbed the news. I don't know how to thank you, he whispered, relief and guilt washing over him. Just be honest with Sophie, Alexander replied. No more secrets. That evening, Liam sat down with Sophie, ready to come clean. As he recounted the truth about his debts and Alexander's assistance, tears filled Sophie's eyes. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She asked, her voice trembling. Because I was scared, Liam admitted. Scared that you would think I wasn't good enough. Sophie took his hands gently. You don't have to face this alone anymore. We're a team. Standing at the doorway, Alexander watched their exchange with a sense of peace. He had seen enough. Liam wasn't perfect, but his willingness to fight for Sophie was commendable. Weeks passed, and Liam embraced a new opportunity that Alexander had created for him, a mentorship program at King Enterprises. It was a chance for Liam to build a stable career and a fresh start. The program was rigorous, demanding hard work and dedication, but Liam was determined. Each day brought him closer to his goals, and he found himself thriving under the mentorship of seasoned professionals who recognized his potential. As their relationship grew stronger, Alexander realized that his role as a protective father was shifting. He no longer needed to shield Sophie, she had found her path alongside Liam. Their bond deepened as they faced challenges together, and Alexander began to see Liam not just as a potential threat but as a partner for his daughter. Months later, the three gathered once again at Opulence, this time without secrets or hidden motives. To family, Liam raised his glass, looking earnestly at both Alexander and Sophie. Alexander smiled, raising his own glass. To family. As they clinked their glasses together, the weight of the past lifted. They were not perfect, but they were united, a family forged through trials and trust. Alexander felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that his daughter was in good hands and that together, they could face whatever the future held. In the weeks that followed, Alexander watched as Liam continued to excel in his new role. His hard work paid off, and soon he was promoted within the mentorship program. The once timid young man was transforming into a confident professional, and Alexander felt pride swell within him. One evening, as they shared dinner at home, Alexander turned to Liam. I've been impressed with your progress, he said, his voice sincere. You're really making a name for yourself. Thank you, Mr. King, Liam replied, his tone respectful yet warm. I couldn't have done it without your support. Sophie beamed at both men, her heart full. I knew you had it in you, Liam, she said, squeezing his hand. As they finished their meal, Alexander felt a sense of hope for the future. He realized that the bonds they had formed were stronger than he could have ever anticipated. They were no longer just a father, daughter, and her boyfriend, they were a family, united in love and respect. One sunny afternoon, Alexander decided to treat them to a weekend getaway at a luxurious cabin in the Catskills. He wanted to celebrate not just Liam's achievements but also the unity they had forged. As they arrived at the cabin, surrounded by nature and tranquility, the atmosphere felt perfect for bonding. Over the weekend, they hiked, cooked together, and shared stories around the fire. Liam opened up about his dreams and aspirations, and Alexander shared anecdotes from his own journey to success. By the end of the trip, they had created memories that would last a lifetime. As they packed to return to the city, Alexander felt a newfound respect for Liam. He had seen the young man's determination and resilience firsthand, and he knew that Sophie was safe in his hands. Driving back, he glanced in the rearview mirror at the two people he cared for most. Their laughter filled the car, and he couldn't help but smile. The future looked bright, and Alexander felt a sense of peace. He had not only protected his daughter but had also gained a son in the process. Together, They could face any challenges that life threw their way, united as a family, ready to embrace whatever came next.